And then let's go back to what this rally is really about. It's about one stock. It's 916 I haven't mentioned yet. It's about Nvidia. And yesterday, Nvidia had a global summit where I have to tell you, when I was looking at what was covered, here, this is what was covered. You had health, industrial revolution, financial plus cyber, climate, autonomous, and then my favorite, space, where they are now setting up a huge radio telegraph to see who is transmitting to us from outer space, talking to us.
Yes, of course. The aliens.
They're not aliens. They're trying to get in touch with us.
It doesn't make them aliens?
Aliens are people who go over the border.
They're trying to call us, and Nvidia is the operator.
Absolutely.
Yes. Jensen Huang is an alien.
Okay, no, he's hardly. He's actually a Renaissance man, not unlike Da Vinci. But I think what's interesting in this, and I'm I'm talking about someone who is thinking so bigger than we are.
I know.
By the way, Nvidia is working on a sixth-day higher, the first higher high since June. Thank you, Bespoke. I think Jensen's wealth now eclipsing Intel's market cap.
He had a better year than Intel.
He sure did. Over $100 billion in wealth. Intel obviously below that.
Intel, it may not.
By the way, yesterday, Microsoft's Azure tweeted it's now officially the first cloud running Nvidia's GB200 Blackwell AI servers.
But how about how many?
OpenAI also announcing as well, apparently, that they've received some shipments. That's October 8th. Right. NVIDIA has a third quarter that ends, fiscal third quarter, it ends in October. So that should imply what? Blackwell revenues actually start to hit
yes, and then
this quarter?
And the yields are going to get better and better. And what you're going to end up seeing that they're going to produce, say, 99% of these things are going to work. Right now, they do not have that kind of yield. And, David, what you missed is that your buddy, pal, friend Elon Musk has accumulated a number of these high-powered chips to create the greatest supercomputer of all time. And what will he use that for?
Well, that's at XAI.
Yeah, that's a separate company. I didn't say Tesla. Musk.
And he's already got, I believe, a huge data center up and running already in Tennessee with the money they raised at XAI.
Plus, he's contacted, Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania?
Incredible.
He did call Shapiro.
He's Mr. Battlestate.
One is for AI, for XAI and its mission, and the other, obviously, is Tesla and self-driving.
Go to that last conference call when he actually gave a nod to Jensen Huang. I think it was his first nod in history. Realize that Jensen Huang is smarter than he is when it comes to this. That's what he said. There's a podcast, David. No one knows that you're dissing me by not talking to me. It's a podcast every day. You can just go to it. Okay?
Big news in the stock market is turning heads today. If you've been following the buzz surrounding the semiconductor sector, get ready for a jaw-dropping revelation. Nvidia, the tech world behemoth known for redefining the realms of artificial intelligence, is back in the spotlight amid a buzzworthy upheaval in the market. We've seen Nvidia's stock deliver electrifying returns over the past 2 years, yet whispers of doubt have crept in over the last few months regarding its AI ambitions and growth velocity. As we inch closer to 2025, the anticipation builds. Will Nvidia retake the podium with another groundbreaking run, or will it stall under the pressure? In this riveting exploration, we'll delve deep into Nvidia's AI chip dynamics, uncovering the secrets behind its present flat performance and future promise. Keep your ears perked and eyes peeled. There's more to this unfolding saga than meets the eye. From conversational undertones to a hint of humor, buckle up as we navigate the high-voltage world of stocks, featuring giant leaps in technology and market forecasts that might just change the way you think about investing. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
We have reason to believe that the Justice Department is investigating Nvidia for its dominance in the AI chip market. What can I say about this one? Nvidia invented the AI chip market. It would not exist without them. Should we blame them for making such an amazing product that it created an entire industry? Remember, Nvidia owns this business because it spent tens of billions of dollars developing the best chips. They made a huge bet on artificial intelligence many, many years before anyone was taking it seriously. But it could have blown up in their faces. The risks were enormous. Should Nvidia fund startups that can take away their market share? Hey, I got an idea. How about a special monitor pointed to the company to ensure that it doesn't get too much of a lead over the competition? No, forget that. I got a better idea. Maybe Justice Department should just demand that CEO Jensen Huang work from home for maybe 4 days only, like everybody else. And then maybe the other guys can catch up. Look, we know these big tech companies are powerful. They're supposed to be powerful. They have tons of customers and hundreds of billions of dollars in their coffers. They have scale and competitive moats and pretty much everything else they need to win, just like we were taught to do when we started a business. But believe me, these companies are the envy of the world. Some of them seem to be the only entities that the People's Republic of China is actually afraid of. So many countries spend so much money trying to prop up companies they consider national champions. But in America, what do? We kneecap them. Believe me, if the courts agree with the justice and the FTC, let me tell you something. Here's what's going to happen. Your prices ain't coming down. They're going up. We hurt these companies too much and we don't have to worry. The PRC will come in with something subsidized by their government that will happily step in the void. Oh, one more thing. Have you noticed the wealth created by these companies? Do you think that's all being hoarded by the execs? No. You could own the stocks right alongside them. In fact, as I tell CNBC Investing Club members daily, you should. Bottom line, I find this endless string of government investigations wrong-headed, pointless, and frankly, even anti-American. Sadly, it's the American government so upset at the power of these companies that's insisting the tech titans should simply be less good. To which I say, good for who? Good for what? Certainly not us.
As the curtain rises on Nvidia's current standing in the stock market, a saga emerges that's as intriguing as any soap opera, but with a lot more zeros involved. A titan in the tech arena, Nvidia's prowess in AI chips is near legendary. Yet, the lingering 3-month stagnation of its stock has left some investors furiously scratching their heads. Let's dissect this conundrum. They say investing in Nvidia is like dating in the tech world. Exhilarating, unpredictable, and occasionally nerve-wracking. Just like when you're trying to swipe right on a stable relationship but end up with the wild card, you know there's potential. But is it worth the risk? Recent data suggests it might just be. Market research firm TrendForce forecasts that Nvidia's shipments of AI GPUs will soar by 55% in 2025, propelled by the emergence of their next-gen Blackwell processors. With Blackwell predicted to represent a whopping 80% of Nvidia's AI chip shipments, it seems there's a storm brewing, a storm of profit potential. This is complemented by Mizuho, the Japanese investment bank, upgrading its forecast of Nvidia's shipments by an 8 to 10% range as they highlight a strengthening supply chain. Nvidia's alliance with TSMC is a critical piece in this grand puzzle. TSMC is set to double its advanced packaging capacity, paving the way for Nvidia to ramp up production of these hyped AI chips. Indeed, by 2026, TSMC aims to maintain an annual growth rate of 60% in its chip-on-wafer-on-substrate packaging. Think of it as sending a smartphone to finishing school. It emerges sleeker, faster, and frankly, irresistible. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. That said, back to the video.
NVIDIA's AI Summit in Washington, D.C. is wrapping up today and nearly propelled the shares to a new all-time high. The company is focused on energy efficiency and enterprise software as they work to avoid being boxed in as just a processor company worth a couple $1 trillion. Meanwhile, Foxconn is announcing plans to build the world's largest manufacturing facility for a key component of NVIDIA's Blackwell platform. Here to discuss is Stacy Rasgon. He's senior analyst at Bernstein. Good to have you, Stacy. Let's start with the big picture takeaways on NVIDIA after this DC summit. The shares almost kissed that new high or made a new high this morning.
Yeah, they did. Look, I mean, people are getting excited about the story again, especially as we approach earnings and then year end into next year as their new platform, Blackwell, really starts to ramp. And look, by all indications, their own commentary, all the supply chain checks and everything else, demand for this product just looks off the charts. And, you know, it's usually a good time to be owning NVIDIA into the launch of a product cycle. And that's where we are right now. And this cycle, if the checks are any indication, has the potential to be massive. So people are getting really excited about it.
And maybe it's just a kind of near-term technical analysis, but I listened to Cathie Stockton. She says, you know, maybe it's range-bound for now. Maybe we go back under 100. You know, there's been a lot of excitement and a lot of hype. And when I know about Blackwell, you think, well, most people know.
Yeah, I mean, the last time it went under 100 was when there were some rumors about some delays to Blackwell, some redesigns to some of the chip components that are on it. And as it turns out, there were some issues. They were able to sort of work through it in a relatively quick fashion, and it kind of turned into sort of a nothing burger, at least from the standpoint of the trajectory of the ramp. It doesn't look like it slowed anything. But that was the last time it went under 100. Short of anything like dramatic like that, I don't know if we see that anymore. Like I said, at this point, the indications that the numbers are much more likely, I think, to have an upward bias than a downward bias. And I suspect that's true for the stock as well as we get into the ramp into the end of the year.
Now to put numbers behind the buzz. Allied Market Research anticipates AI chip sales to see an annual surge of 38% through to 2032, potentially raking in $384 billion in revenue. Nvidia, holding an impressive 70 to 95% market share, stands to be the top beneficiary. Those are not just numbers. They're firework displays of opportunity. Of course, the classic stock market joke that's as timeless as buy low, sell high might rephrase here as the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient, especially relevant when studying Nvidia's current valuation metrics. Despite the soaring whispers of its stocks being overvalued, with a trailing P/E ratio of 58 against the Nasdaq 100 index's average of 32, Nvidia continues to defy these notions with robust growth. In truth, its earnings multiple lingers below its own 5-year average P/E of 72. And with a PEG ratio of just 0.14, it sits comfortably in the undervalued territory based on its growth predictions. And what does the sentiment in the trenches look like? The CNN Money, Fear, and Greed Index signals that we're in the greed zone, with a reading of 71.9, suggesting that market sentiment is driving towards optimism. Noteworthy is the positively bullish session for technology stocks, where Nvidia found itself reprising its role as a prominent player alongside Broadcom. While the NFIB's report on small business optimism presents a modest rise, the underlying narrative is clear. Sights are set high, with fiscal conditions proving favorable. The U.S. budget deficit shrank notably, bringing a renewed slap of confidence to investors. From international banks to individual stakeholders, everyone is keeping a close watch, wary yet intrigued by Nvidia's next move. But amidst the metrics and fiscal talk, here's a lighthearted pause. Investing in Nvidia could be as thrilling as catching your favorite tech geek mastering an AI beatbox. Unexpected yet incredibly impressive when executed right. With Nvidia positioned strongly, bolstered by TSMC's enhanced production prowess, and an industry hungry for AI innovation, it reads like a modern financial epic. Investors would be wise to consider such dynamics. After all, the markets, like life, seem to have a knack for rewarding those who stay informed and act decisively. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Real quickly, I want to ask you about some of the rest of the space as well, but what do you have for the PE here? I mean, what are the earnings that the market is expecting, and what do you think is possible, and what should the multiple be for a company growing like this?
Yeah, even the multiple is actually not that expensive if you believe the numbers. I think the sell side's like somewhere around $4, maybe a little more. I suspect the buy side, the investors are higher. They're probably closer to 450 or 5. And again, if you look at some of the supply chain checks and you see where the revenues could go, if the demand is sufficient to meet the supply that is likely to be available, you could get numbers that are higher than that. And so if the numbers are any close to being correct, the stock's, 130, it's called like mid to high 30s multiple on, a realistic kind of number. It's not that expensive. And I've made this point before. It's much cheaper today than it was before the run started a year and a half ago.
Right, because the earnings
the stock's gone up a ton, but the earnings have gone up much, much more than the stock. So as long as these numbers are sustainable, but that's the controversy is the numbers have gotten so big so quickly. Like, is it sustainable? That is the question. But for now, like I said before, I suspect numbers are much more likely to be going up versus down.
And is it cyclical? I mean, historically speaking, I mean, the new chip is always, gets a high multiple, but over time, they become too cyclical. They get lower multiples as a result because investors don't like the ups and downs. And some of the bulls on this have to say basically that it's not going to be cyclical this time around in order to justify trading where it is and with the expectations where they are. And what's going on with the rest of the industry in terms of supply and demand right now?
Yeah, you bet. So if we look at the rest of the industry, like this will be an upturn year for semis in general, but I wouldn't say it's a healthy upturn. Like memory is going to grow a lot, because memory was horrendous last year, and actually they took supply offline because the demand was so horrible, and because of that, pricing went up, and so memory will be good. PCs and smartphones, they're okay. You're probably not getting a lot of growth, and there's some worries about things like CPU inventory in PCs. Data center, like AI is off the charts, but traditional data center networking and CPUs are pretty weak. Industrial has been weak. It looks like maybe some parts of that have bottomed, but we're not seeing a ton of signs of recovery yet. And automotive is now starting to roll over, maybe in a pretty big way. We've had a number of OEMs in recent weeks have negatively pre-announced in some pretty bad fashion. And so in general, like outside of AI, I wouldn't say that things look fantastic, but AI demand, like I said, right now, it's much more, it's being gated by supply rather than demand. They're selling everything that they can make right now in AI. And fortunately for NVIDIA, that's where they are. That's where they play.
Up 2,000% in the past 2 years. One of the great stories. You've got a $155 price target. I think it has a little bit left to go.
As we stand at this intersection of technology and opportunity, NVIDIA emerges as a beacon for investors searching to harness the waves of innovation. Amidst the static of today's market uncertainties, NVIDIA presents a compelling case, underscored by its commanding presence in AI chipset production and expanding partnerships. The recent months of flat performance should be viewed not as an end, but as the quiet before another evolutionary leap. Looking ahead, 2025 promises to be a dynamic year for NVIDIA as they capitalize on new advancements and increasing demand. As TSMC fortifies its packaging capacity and global AI chip sales are poised to surge, NVIDIA seems well-equipped to navigate the road ahead, likely outperforming and appealing to both seasoned investors and newcomers alike. In the broader picture, the favorable sentiment reflected in the rising indices and economic indicators paints a landscape ripe with potential. NVIDIA isn't just a tech company, it's a narrative of relentless innovation, strategic prowess, and market leadership. While guitars may gather dust, NVIDIA's continued quest in the AI domain promises anything but inactivity. Investors, experts, and skeptics, what do you think about these prospects? Are you ready to be part of NVIDIA's next chapter? Don't be a stranger. Share your views and keep the conversation sparking. After all, in the world of stock investments, it's your move that counts the most. So, gear up, make informed decisions, and may your portfolios reflect your financial aspirations. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like NVIDIA have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.